Oh, okay, yeah, as they come in, so. But I'll get started. So again, my name is Victor Tafolla, and I cover the services portion of the Panametrics side alongside Emma. She's my counterpartner. And in terms of the BakerHughes people that we have here, we have Alex, who's one of our channel partners. Then we also have Ricardo, who is our global leader for Panametrics. So I got to make sure that I do a good job presenting here today. No pressure, right? But the agenda, in terms of what I'll cover today, is first like to start off with the safety moment. You know, something part of our course is just to make sure that we continue reminding the safety. I also want to kind of highlight in terms of the environmental regulations, how it came into play over the past couple of years, and then partnering how we provide a solution to customers. ExxonMobil, right? So I know there's a couple of folks out here that we already have a relationship with. And then I'll go more in terms of in depth in terms of how Flare.IQ is put a part of this program and how we offer these offerings to our customers. All right, so safety moment. Aside from the fact that I like to put this slide because cyclists and I like to show off the picture of me, but this slide I've actually we have different types of safety moments in our company, but I've kept this one because every time I bring it up, somebody knows someone who had a accident. Right, and as a matter of fact, I was in California a couple of weeks ago, and one of their employees out of the refinery used to ride his bike to the site, and pulling out of the site, he got hit by a car. I just heard another story too when I was talking to Shell. One of his sisters actually was killed by a vehicle out in Deer Park. Right, and there's one of the things too is like there's a lot of cyclists out there. Especially during the now in the summertime break, right? A lot of guys are going out there and gals and to ride. So just something to keep in mind always. Keep an eye out for cyclists and pedestrians. You also have a lot of people just walking the streets, and again, it's something that kind of hits home, and there's always somebody who knows someone who had an accident. So in terms of the environmental regulations, I know we. Lei Su and also Holterman already kind of poked at this a little bit in terms of the regulations. Our business is, to ensure in terms of the services that our customers have, they meet our compliance, right? ExxonMobil's customers meeting all these regulations, and a lot of them were driven by the federal level, like from the EPA, RSR, and then we got the EMAC in 24 months or so. And then it goes in terms of more regional, right? Your regional level, we got TCQ, we got the Bay Area, also South Coast in California, and a lot more like yourself. And then in terms of not so much a regulation, but also something that for the services portion and for verifying these meters, calibrating these meters, there's always this small section that says or by manufacturer's recommendation, right? So this is where we come in, and our recommendation is to perform annual calibration or verifications on the meters. We want to ensure that they are working properly. If there's any issues, we're able to address them. Just to ensure that again all the readings are done properly to meet all the all regulations and compliance. So how does this work, right? So in terms of our partnership, how we partner with our customers, is that first thing is that it's driven by regulations, like I mentioned. And then we come in here with the solution, provide the solution of saying, hey, we could provide these verification process to ensure, again, to meet the regulations. And it's not only for regulations, it's also a lot more safer and a lot more cost efficient, right? So I'm kind of going historically in terms of how we got to the level that we are going in now to the Flare.IQ, but these were the main drivers. Customers started to appreciate this more. There was customers who were being fined, thousands and millions of dollars. And they came in and asked for, hey, we need some support, or what can you guys do? And then we started developing and start evolving around our customers' needs, right? So again, that's what the partnerships came about. Like I mentioned, safe, a lot safer, and then also meets your So now there's a couple different processes that's done to perform these verifications, calibrations, right? Verification calibrations. And initially, the way it started is to do an ex-situ verification. And for the guys that were here earlier today, Mike Holterman kind of mentioned about this, where our guys, our field service engineers and technicians go out to the site. And so these meters have transducers, and these transducers are being pulled out. The thing is that these transducers are not just very easy access, right? You're not gonna be able to access these transducers very, very easily. So sometimes you need to climb scaffolding. We had a customer who had the meter on the vertical flare side, 50 feet in the air. And they ended up calling us because one of their guys got hurt climbing that ladder, right? So it's a complicated way to doing it, but we've been doing it for so number of years. The benefit here is we take the transducers out, we're able to clean them, just like, a lot of these flares are dirty processes. We're able to clean them and then put them onto a zero flow box where we're able to perform the verification. From there, if all the testing is done and our technicians determine that it's passing grade, we provide a verification report. That verification report are given to the environmentalists and they give it to the regulators. And I guess sometimes, the audits and all that stuff happen. Because of the complexity there, it's unsafe in a way because of the scaffolding and sometimes need to be built. And then it's a long process, so we are able to typically do only 1 flare meter per day. There's a lot of locations and sites. I know there's an ExxonMobil site that has over 15 meters that takes about 15 days just to complete the verification. So what we did, years later, we came up with the in-situ verification. The in-situ verification eliminates a lot of this laundry list that you can see here on the ex-situ. So the in-situ is that our guys go directly to the meter itself and be able to run diagnostic tests and things like that, that they don't have to go and access these transducers. From there, they're able to determine again if there's any pass or no pass. If there is a red flag, obviously we're not just going to randomly hand out verification reports if they're not passing, right? So if there's a no pass, then we'll perform an exit. Typically, I think we did a study, we're about 87 to 90% passing on in-situ verifications. And the benefit there is because we're not doing scaffolding, we're not removing transducers, we get to typically about 3 meters per day. Right, so instead of spending 15 days on site, now we're spending about 5 days on site and be able to do those verifications. So that's the way we've been doing it for a number of years now. And this is where it comes into the remote or digital verification. This is with the Flare.IQ, the famous box, right? So this is the box that Lacey was talking about, almost having like your iPhone and then having different apps. Now we're going more in depth in terms of how it works for digital verification. We're able to do digital verifications thanks to the Flare.IQ, the software. It's able to pull some information out, and I have a schematic that kind of talks about this. And all this information is sent back to the DCS connected to our Flare.IQ box, and from there, we're getting all the data and analysis just to be able to determine if it's, again, passed or no pass. Because our guys are going out to the DCS room, control room, then we don't have to be accessing, again, out to the site. We do about 6 meters per day, right? So we cover along the meters per day doing this way. And again, like I mentioned, we have a schematic kind of goes more in detail to see it. Stu, for the guys who were in the presentation here before, he had the same schematic, but if you recall, it was just a bunch of lines and you need this, you need that. That's for the flare control portion, and then you also have the combustion efficiency portion. But this is for digital verification. The nice thing with digital verification is we only need 3 things here. It's going to be your gas analyzer, our flow meter, so make sure you have Panametrics. If there's no Panametrics, make sure you upgrade to that. And then MOPAs, right? Just so you can communicate and all that data back. All that information, all that data is sent back to the DCS. That DCS is connected via Ethernet to our Flare.IQ box. And then from there, we have an interface that we're able to gather all the data and information. All right, so a lot more simple than the flare control. One thing that I get all the time is that, is this going to be controlling anything? The answer is no. It's a one-way communication. All we're doing is just gathering information and data, right? So it's not controlling anything. The other question I get is this going to the cloud? As of now, based on our customer feedback, they don't want anything going to the cloud. At least they just wanted to have everything in-house. And if we want to actually gather information, we have to go and request a PDF for that information from the customer directly. So now, in terms of the benefits here with Flare.IQ, is not just about the verification, but obviously we're in the middle of the pandemic. Hopefully going through the end. I don't even know where we are now, right? It's Delta now and then another one's later. But the benefit here too is that all this information could be sent out like to us, like I mentioned. The problem that we had last year is that, again, in the middle of the pandemic was that the travel restrictions. the 6 feet distance, social distancing. Nobody knew what was going on, right? The EPA and the regulators were able to do like a 2-month extension, I believe, at that time. But at the end of the day, they were still knocking on the customer side. It's like, hey, we need this verification report. We need to make sure that you're compliant. So what happened is that for some of our customers who didn't have Flare.IQ, kind of stuck in limbo and we're trying to get out there. There's travel restrictions. There's some sites like in North Dakota, South Dakota, they had, and there's no flights going out there. So it was a sticky situation. So the customers who have Flare.IQ, they were able to download this information, send it over to us, and say, this is the report that we're getting. A lot of times, because our customers don't deal with our meters on an everyday basis, it's just something, it's a space rocket ship or something else right out of the scope for them. So for us, our technicians or experts are able to determine, it's like, okay, this is the information that you're getting. Is this a no pass or a yes pass? Or on top of that, if it's something that is maybe some issues are being read incorrectly, it could be the transducer, it can be the box itself. So we just, our technicians are able to determine based on the information. Okay, this is a true troubleshooting that we need to send our guys out there. Or again, we would be able to provide that verification remotely. So again, kind of highlighting the same points that we already talked about even before. It's that with our services too, it's not only that you're going to be able to get this the Flare.IQ and this report and this information, is that we're always going to be there supporting with our services, right? So it's not like something that I just went through with Xfinity. I had my router went out, and then I was trying to get a hold of somebody, and it was just sending me to this audible message, and it was just a loop, round and round and round. With us here, we want to ensure that if something goes on, if you have some questions regarding the report, if you have some questions regarding your meters or your readings, then our technical support group is still going to be there. We have field service groups all across North America, and we need to deploy our guys to send them out there too. Something that I like to highlight here, and actually, ExxonMobil is one of the big ones here with Premium. And I'll talk about a little bit more about this Premium program. It's that a lot of times what happens is that there's emergency cases, right? And like I mentioned, customers are not familiar with our meters, so if there's any red flashing lights, right away they panic because there's 5% downtime, they didn't need to meet and all this stuff. So they call us right away. We go out there, and then sometimes these emergency call outs can run anywhere from $7,000 to $10,000, right? Very costly because, again, emergency cases. Now, is that we're going to be able to grab that information. Again, you can send it over to us, and then from there, we're able to determine if it's a true emergency or if it's something that we can just simply replace on our next service visit, and we could be able to determine the severity of that, the status of that meeting. Now, in terms of the software, this is the software portion, right? So that's the nice thing is with having the Flare.IQ is that once you get that box on the site, you can install, turn on, turn off different types of software, right? We're talking about flare control, and then digital verification, and then I know it doesn't really apply to downstream, but I mean, so could help as a combustion efficiency, right? So, and I know that the team is working on more softwares and things like that. So just by having that hardware at your site, then you're going to be able to again play around, or depending what's released later on, there's additional software that we're going to be able to install to the Flare.IQ product.
What does the Flare.IQ box inside? Is it the DCS control or the next to the meter?
DCS control. Yeah, DCS control. So the whole idea, the whole concept is that for the number of meters, like I mentioned, that site that has 15 meters, we want to grab all those meters, send that back to just one location, right? That location, that's where we'll be able to read all the information from.
And for the Flare diagnostics, all that signal comes through Modbus or whatever system you have from an existing Panametrics meter.
Correct.
All the data goes to the DCS or to this Flare.IQ software.
Correct. It goes to the DCS and connect to your Flare.IQ. Correct. Modbus. That's one of the big key things, right? And I know there's a few sites that either didn't have Modbus and they're actually in the middle of installing Modbus and things like that. And this gives you another reason why to have that.
So IQ by itself, sorry,
No, where's it?
IQ by itself is not installing any hardware. Collecting the data.
So it is adding hardware to your DCS in a way, connecting the
Also, okay.
yeah. So it's connecting the Flare.IQ to your DCS. The only thing that, in terms of hardware with your meter, is that we had to do like an EEPROM upgrade on the flare meter itself. Again, the benefit here is we put programs together to minimize that cost impact for our customers with the FlareCare program. So we bundled it together, and once that is purchased, the EEPROM upgrade is part of that. Pack.
That's the other piece of power, you actually add.
That's the hardware.
Yeah,
with
the
DCS.
and that's easy to DCS both. That's not related to the DCS.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, standard 19-inch panel, rack mount.
Yeah. And then, again, to highlight in terms of the Flare.IQ multi capabilities, it's again, flare control, DV, digital verification, remote verification, and then the combustion efficiency. So again, the concept is that, Lay was talking about this whole technology change and energy transition and things like that, right? This is something that's going to happen, new technology and new capabilities. It's again, one of the things that we recommend to our customers, install it, and if there's other software updates or new releases, then we already have the hardware, we just update the software. So now, in terms of how we bundle this to our customers, is we put the FlareCare program together. The FlareCare program has already been around for a number of years. Again, it was developed by the regulations. There was a customer need. They're always requesting help and assistance to make sure they're in compliance. And then we started putting these programs together. And these programs is again to minimize a lot of the admin work on both sides, to minimize the emergency call outs, to help with the scheduling, and also minimize a lot of the cost impacts, right? In terms of even operational impacts for our customers. So the way that we have it is we have 3 tiers. It's the Plus program, Premium program, and then the one with the digital verification, right? Typically, a lot of customers who do not have a FlareCare program, they're just doing the execute verification every year, right? Then they call us, and then we send out quotes based on that year. Obviously, prices don't stay constant. There's seasonal inflation and all that. So we give them that new price every year. Now, with the FlareCare program, is that we can lock in rates actually 5 years, lock in those costs, lock in those prices, and then we're able to deliver all these offerings there. Including what we call SSA manager, basically a project manager that he's gonna see the verification report when the technicians go out to site, and if there's any questions from our environmentalists at the site, he's able to answer, he's able to support, and then we also have a portal where we upload all these reports. Because I know a lot of times we have customers who go in a panic attack because they're looking for verification reports because they're in the middle of an audit and things like that. So we want to make sure that all those documents are tracked. So that's included. We also have dedicated technicians just to minimize all the additional training just to get on site and things like that. Now, in terms of the digital verification, how this is tied in is that you're also getting all this off, getting all the deliverables, and now we're also including the DV part of the program, right? So, like I mentioned, Baton Rouge, we're working with those 2 sites right now to include the DV into their upper renewal. And again, it's something that minimizes the cost impact on both ends, for Panametrics and also for our customers.
They don't have Flare.IQ right now.
Not yet. So I know Beaumont Chemical, they purchased it just a few weeks ago, and I know Baton Rouge, even as of Monday, we're sending emails back and forth. It's something that's going to happen within the next couple of weeks.
That's not IQ.
Correct. Digital verification. Yeah, correct.
IQ and digital verification is the same.
So digital verification is the software, right? So Flare.IQ is the hardware. So the software is a DV that's going to be able to provide, what we spoke here about.
So you buy one, you will buy another.
So the way to think of it is Flare.IQ is a platform. And you have 3 different versions of the software added to that platform. It's a common platform. If you wanted all 3, you could have it on the same piece of hardware. But one is for flare control. So that's your steam and gas. One is for the advanced diagnostics through the digital verification, as Victor's talking about. Then there's a third one, which is just providing you with your combustion efficiency in real time. So you can pick and choose which software you want, 1, 2, and 3, 1, 2, or 3, that sort of thing.
Yeah, so like the app or software. So, and then just to kind of.
Can I ask? I know it's a very generic idea, what kind of cost are we talking about?
What was that?
What kind of cost are we talking about?
So-
Like,
It's all depending on the number of meters, right? So for every location is different. You know, for ExxonMobil, Beaumont Chemical, I know they had like a large number of meters. Baton Rouge has less number of meters, so it's depending, right? Because
is it 100Ks, millions?
So I think that the best way to look at this is we generally, our preferred method, because it is an algorithm that's constantly being improved, is to go with a subscription method, so it's an annual fee. For digital verification, like the Victor talked about, you know, it's the same price as what we charge to have a field service engineer go into the field. But you don't have, you know, they do a lot more at the same time. So if I had to put a ballpark on it, and don't hold me to this,
Yeah,
per meter, about $5,000 per year for digital verification. For the combustion efficiency version, it's about $15,000 a year. And for the full flare control, it's around $40,000 a year. So, you know, if you're talking 5 flares, you know, you can scale that up. And of course, we work on that. But, you know, if you're looking at budgetary numbers, that's really what.
no, thank you, I just wanted to get an idea, it's 5,000, 50,000. or
If you're willing to do 500,000 per year, you know, we can let you talk. But we got some flexibility there.
Does that subscription model come with,
That includes all hardware and commissioning.
yeah, commissioning, training.
What we don't do is we don't do the installation because that's in your rack. You're gonna have your trades put it in, but it includes support for Modbus mapping. But there is some pre-work that does have to be done on your site.
Yeah, so, and, but yeah, and then I guess just to kind of finish it off in terms of the, you know, like the portal where all the information is sent over here. This portal, it's, for every customer that have their own portal, their own login, their own password, just to ensure that all the reports and all those things that you report to the EPA, it's down here. And then the same thing in terms of if there's any, training that's needed, we have, you know, some videos on there that you guys can access. And again, it's part of the program, FlareCare program, and it's all bundled together, just so again, like I mentioned, to minimize the cost impact on both ends. And, I think that's it pretty much in terms of, the presentation. Not sure if there's any questions that you guys have. Yeah, because I know a lot of the questions that do come up from our customers is, like I answered earlier, is this enough in the cloud? At the moment, no, right? Yeah, are we capable of doing that? I mean, our sister divisions are doing certain things. At this time, just based on customer feedback, they just want everything in-house. Is it approved by the EPA? Yes. I mean, for us, we are providing almost a report that's very identical to what you already get for execute and in situ. Right, so those verification reports look very similar.
What
And
portion is approved by the EPA?
Just
the data?
our report, our certification basically on the calibration.
But not the combustion efficiency or the flare over again.
So when it comes to the flare control and combustion efficiency, the key is that we're working with end users who have it installed to try to get the data so we can go to the EPA. We're working through European agencies as well to try to get it accepted. The sticking point with it is that we are an inferred value and they prefer direct measurement.
Right.
But the
That was
question,
one of my questions. I believe the combustion efficiency is first, right? It's more calculated.
definitely, it's a function of the BTU content, the wind speed, the velocity through the line, and all that. But the way you have to weigh it out is, do you want to have occasional data that's super accurate or 24/7, 365 that might have a 2% accuracy difference? What's more valuable? And to the EPA, obviously, they want absolute data, at all times. But in terms of operational, it's not realistic in 2021. Maybe in 2026 it will be. But if you want to start gathering your data now for that, you need to, be able to make smarter decisions today with more information.
So one of the